Hi, this is Laura from Grain & Co. Today's tutorial is on how to stencil your tea towel found in your Creative Home DIY subscription box. So let's begin. So in your kit, you will have your farmhouse towel, which is a 28 by 28 size, your stencil, your paint color, and a makeup wedge, or foam wedge. First of all, you're going to open up your towel. And we're looking for the edge that will hang the best for what you're looking for. So there is a loop up at the top, so that is the side I'm not going to stencil on. I'm going to open it up, and I'm looking for the bottom edge here. And when you open it up, you'll notice that there are some rectangles from being ironed and pressed. So just locate one of those as your guide and you'll find it easier to line up your stencil. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be lining it up on the second panel in from the right, and you can either position your stencil at the very bottom or you can center it within that rectangle that is on the towel. So what you'll do is you'll peel off the back of your stencil. It will be the gridded backing, and when you peel it off, you'll reveal the stickiness to your stencil. So go slow, because as you start to do that, you can catch little pieces like this. So you will want to just give that a rub so it will stick back down. We are using a permanent vinyl. The reason we do that is because it's a bit more tacky, which will help when we want the stencil to stick better on your material. So go slow, because it does like to stick fairly well to the back of the backing of your stencil. And if you go too fast and pull it off too quickly, then you can ruin your stencil by stretching or ripping some of the details. So once that is done, you can flip this over and apply it to where you want it. Now, unlike a stencil you attach to wood, once you apply it down, you kind of want to leave it there. If you are unsure exactly where you want that, just peel it up and reposition. You just don't want to do that too many times, or you'll get the stickiness will be covered with, lint and all that stuff from your towel. So once you've got it where you want it, then give it a really good press. Make sure there is no creases underneath your stencil. If so, just give it a little bit of a pull and give this a really good rub. Now you'll grab a corner and you're going to remove the transfer tape. Now I like to start on a sharp angle and then pull across. Now I don't want to pull on the transfer tape because it will lift the stencil some. So once I get it started, I like to roll it across the surface, and I try not to scrunch this because it makes it harder to roll. So if you can keep that flat and let your hand roll across that, you'll find that to be a lot easier. Once again, you want to watch for those little black pieces, that they don't get caught as you remove this. If so, just take it back, give it a rub, and then continue on. And just keep moving your hand down as you work your way down. There we go. All right, so this piece is no longer needed, so you can throw that in the garbage. I like to keep the backing and set it underneath where I'm going to stencil. You shouldn't be using that much paint to begin with. and so it really shouldn't bleed through your towel. However, just to protect the surface that you're working on, you can stick that underneath. So once I'm done, I take my finger and gently apply pressure to the cut area of your stencil. The reason we're doing this is we want to make sure it's adhered very well, and this will help to contain any bleeding that you might get if you go a little bit heavy on the paint. But you definitely want to make sure and seal. If you're worried about catching something, you can always use the backing to cover up over that stencil, so you can put lots of pressure on it without ruining your stencil. So that's another thing you can use it for. You can never press too hard on a stencil like this on fabric. You really want it to be adhered very, very well. So once that's done, stick that underneath and we will be good to go. So what I like to use is either a piece of paper towel, a paper plate, something that you'll be able to blot off the extra paint. You'll have your container of paint, and there's your little wedge. And you're going to open up your paint. You can pour some in the lid or on a little paper plate. You can pour some in there. You just don't need a whole lot of paint, so less is definitely best. So let me see if you can see this. So you're going to take your foam wedge and you're just going to blot some paint on. Now I like to try and get an even coating on the bottom, but you can see all that extra wet paint. Whoops, let's back it up there. You don't want all of that because that will just seep underneath your underneath. So you want to blot off as much as possible, and you can see that the towel is almost dry as I do that. And check those edges, make sure there's no goopiness to that. And then you're just going to very lightly pounce on your towel. Now it's better to build up very light layers more times than it is to try and apply too much at once. So just be patient with very little paint on each application. It does not take a long time to dry. So just keep dipping in your paint, blotting it off on your towel, and moving on to the next part. So you're going to do this process over and over and over until you achieve the coloring that you want. And then when you're done, you're going to remove your whole stencil. And I will come back to that after, once I get to that far. All right, good luck, and we'll see you later. So as you can see, I'm slowly starting to build up the color. And remember, you want it to dry between coats. It will grab the paint better instead of keep applying and applying when it's maybe just slightly damp. If you're afraid to get paint on the edge where of the stencil, you can always apply some painter's tape just to give your surface area a bit more room to pounce without getting any paint on your towel itself. All right, so I'm just going to continue on again and I will come back with the reveal. All right, so I'm almost done. I can still see just a little bit of white patches. And what you might find a little easier too for you is to cut your makeup sponge into smaller pieces like this. As you can see, I cut mine. And that way, when you are stenciling, you can really press a bit harder in that smaller area for you to be able to apply your paint. So you still don't want to add any more paint, you just want to be able to pinpoint a little bit easier with a smaller sponge. So that's just a little tip. And you have to be patient with this. I've been working on this for probably 45 minutes to an hour, not consistently. You want to let that paint dry. You want the fabric to feel stiff in the stencil when you know it's dry, and then you can go and slowly add some more paint. Now you don't want to be pouncing fast. You'll find that if you put a nice even pressure, go a bit slower as you're doing it, you'll find that the fibers will grab the paint a little bit easier than just pouncing really fast, and it really is not doing much at all. So it does happen. Just give it a little bit of time. It's not something that has to be done quickly, like when you're painting a sign and that vinyl has to come off right away. It can sit like this for over a day. That would be no problem if you couldn't get it all done in one sitting. So almost done, and pretty soon I'll be able to show you what it looks like. So now mine is all covered, so now it's time for the big reveal. So once you've done and it's dry to the touch and your hands are clean, you can go ahead and start removing your stencils. So just grab a corner and slowly peel back and remove your stencil. You really, with these ones on your fabric, you really can just rip it right off. You can get in there with your fingers and you can pick this off, or you can, hold on a second, you can you just need something sharp, so I'm going to use my X-Acto knife, but you can use like a tip of a toothpick would be fine. And this is extra sticky, so you'll just go in here and grab those pieces and lift them up. Now, with stenciling with Fusion Mineral Paint, it is, you can definitely launder this and it's not going to come off. So it's definitely good to go there. So I would just definitely give it 48 hours to settle if you needed to wash it, but otherwise just enjoy. And there you go. Isn't it super cute? Just like that. And then you can hang it up over your handle of your stove. You can decorate it, you know, if you have a tea towel, little ladder, and there you go. Just super, super, super cute. Just like that. All right, thanks guys, and good luck. Hope to see your project soon on the Creative Home DIY Club. Join if you haven't.